All right, Shalom. All praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And Shalom to the hopeful elect Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Kodash. Now, as you can see, it's just a quick video that I saw on the social media. And it's basically this Jake pretty much cursing out, all these industry Jakes that have, taken the deals with Amalek, basically. All these industry guys that have taken the deals with the so-called Jews, basically, man. All right? And the scriptures tell us about that. Our people that sell out for a better life in Babylon, basically. They sell out to the bankers, to their minions, whether it's the music industries, the sports industries. You have to bow to the wicked, basically, the so-called Jew. That's the people you answer to, man. So any person, see, it's not just Negroes and Latinos, obviously, is the main people that we focusing on that get these mega deals, but all nations get these deals from Esau, man. Even lesser level Edomites, they get their deals. They have to bow to these devils, man. Celebrities, basically. But this Jake just goes into a few things. It's quite funny. But all these Jakes, all these 2/3, they've taken deals, man. All right, they've sold their souls. They've committed sacrifices and, killed close relatives, etc., blood sacrifices, etc., to attain what they have. All right, it's not just about your talent, man. There's plenty of talented people in this world. Why don't they have the riches of so-called society? See, it's not just about talent. It's about, well, now it ain't about talent at all, man. Most of these people with these deals are talentless. But it ain't about your talent. It's about, do you have the insider deal, basically? All right. So yeah, this is what selling your soul is, man.
White Jesus, and I hate Lil Baby, and I hate every rapper like him. Does anybody remember when his bitch ass was hugged up with Michael Rubin? Then when it's time for him to hug the little princess, he got a gun in his hoodie. Where was that gun with Michael Rubin? They all a bunch of clowns, a bunch of cucks. Rick Rubin is black people's favorite slave master. Russell Simmons gonna sit here and be hugged up with everybody's favorite slave master, and then gonna make that spoof sex tape about Harriet Tubman having sex with the slave master. Leor Cohen is black people's favorite slave master. Leor Cohen was the one who broke up Public Enemy, beefing with Professor Griff. The conflict between Cohen and...
Well, yeah, even that Leor Cohen, that schnoz-nosed Amalekite that controls the music industry, he was on the Breakfast Club, as we know, the New York, the Breakfast Club with, DJ Envy, Charlamagne, and Angela Yee. There's an episode with him on it, and he basically has them silenced in that room. Like, they're not even asking him the important questions. Like, they're not asking him nothing serious. But when they have like all the other Negro guests or Hispanic guests, they always gossiping, talking shit, against one another. But when they had that schnoz-nosed Jew, they were under manners. Why? Because these people control their money, man. They control the industry. They control the flow of the money these celebrities get. So they're silenced by them. You have to see that episode, man. They were showing that schnoz-nosed Amalekite, Leor Cohen, all types of respect, man.
Griff centered on the 1989 antiseptic remark made by the Public Enemy member, which created intense pressure on Cohen, then a young juicy executive at Def Jam Records. Remember, Griff was the Public Enemy in Public Enemy, not coon-ass Chuck D, who was hugged up with everybody's favorite juicy, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is the biggest juicy out there, and y'all love y'all juicy slave masters. Ask Chuck D. Flavor Flav was not a Public Enemy. Here's Flavor Flav hugged up with another juicy, Paul Simon. But let me go back to Jew Z and Liar Cohen. Remember when Irv Gotti, Jay Prince, Dame Dash, and Suge Knight were about to start their own distribution company and cut the juicy out of the whole situation? Liar Cohen, a major corporate executive in hip-hop, has had several documented tensions and conflicts with industry moguls representing a more independent approach, specifically Dame Dash, Suge Knight, Irv Gotti, and Jay Prince. The core of these conflicts often center on the tensions between corporate industry practices and artist empowerment / independence. Remember, your slave master don't want you to leave the plantation. The feud between Dame and Liar is a long-standing industry conflict spanning over 2 decades, rooted in the breakup of Rockefeller Records, just like he did with Public Enemy. Differing views on business, which is independent, and accusations of culture vulture behavior. The Juicy is your favorite slave master and you love him. Stop the cap. Black people love slavery. Slavery was brought to you with a real good tune produced by Clive Davis. Remember, Clive Davis was the one who signed Whitney Houston. And then Clive Davis partied with her dead body. Clive Davis held his annual pre-Grammy party on February 11th, 2012 at the Beverly Hills Hilton Hotel, just hours after Whitney Houston was found dead in her room upstairs. While not partying with the body, Davis faced criticism for proceeding with the event, which he turned into a tribute for Houston. Houston didn't want that tribute. She wanted a moment of silence for her death, not a pre-Grammy party. Don't think I forgot when Dr. Dre had Jimmy Iovine sitting on his lap. And just like Little Baby, Eazy-E was so gangster when it came to black people, but as soon as that Juicy come in the room, Ice Cube told you, Jerry Heller bit him over with no Vaseline. Eazy-E.
So you getting the gist of it, man, the drift of it. These Amalekites have a stranglehold on everything in the world, and our people have to bow to them. You know, and that's nothing new, because the scriptures tell you that, man. The scriptures, tell you these things. This was going on in the ancient world. When the Greeks took over, etc. I'm going to read that in the scriptures, but it just shows you, if you want to succeed in this world, you have to bow to these so-called Jews, man. All right, and all of that is coming out now. The behind the scenes, what's going on behind the scenes. People are talking about it. Just the general public, everyone knows pretty much kind of what's going on regarding celebrities now. All right. So Mark 8:36, it says, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" Exactly. What shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Yeah, because you gain the world in the sense of this world, the riches, the fame, the women, the cars, the mansions, but you really lose your soul, man. Because you see these wicked elites, they know our people are the chosen people. They know we are the children of Israel. So what they do is they basically, the people with talent amongst our people, they fund them to push narratives, amongst our community, the drugs, the destruction, etc., etc. But what they do is, when you sign over yourself to them, you now have to basically commit all kind of sin, basically. You have to be wicked, pretty much. You have to do wickedness to gain access in their world, basically. So that's part of losing your soul. You lose your way, all right? You sign over your spirit to them, basically. Well, not your spirit, but your soul to them. You now follow them, right? And they know that. So that's part of it. So you gain, what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the world and lose his own soul? Exactly. Because all these celebrities, man, they all, especially these Jake celebrities, because they got a conscience, they all renege in the end. They all feel messed up at what they've done, etc., etc. You see it in their latter lives, right? They start talking up, and then they mysteriously get found dead, etc. But you see, brothers in the truth, we're the opposite, because finding ourself is finding this knowledge. All right. See, we found the knowledge, and when we find the knowledge is how we find ourselves. All right. We gain the world by this truth. We gain, that's the one. It's actually not Slucky, not the world. We gain life. Sorry, that's the one. Life, because we have the knowledge. We might not have the riches of this world, but we found our lives, basically. See, because most people in this society, especially our people that don't know the truth, their whole thing is they want to find success, so to speak. They want the deals. They want to have money. They want to be up in society. But guess what? This is what it takes. You have to sell your soul. And that is coming out more and more. But if you're at the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai wakes you up, you basically find your life because you found the truth, basically, the true path, man. Which the true path is completely against everything about this society. So again, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the world and lose his own soul? And the answer is nothing, because you see all of the cars and the infinite FRNs that they give these celebrities, it's at a cost. You have to do things for it. Things that are, things that destroy your spirit. That's why all these celebrities end up all messed up in latter lives. You see it. It's all fun and games when they're younger. Then as they're getting older, you see them deteriorate from all that wickedness. Right? And in the end, they're going to die anyway, because in the end, they're going to be destroyed anyway. And this was going on during the time of the Greeks also. First Maccabees 1 and 10. This was going on during the time of the Greeks also, because our people were doing this, have always done this. Of every empire, there's always been sections of our people that, don't want to suffer, don't want to go through the oppression, and they take the deals from the heathens basically, so they can live better than the rest of the Israelites. All right, that's at the bottom. This is First Maccabees 1 and 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 100. Who had been a hostage in Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Yeah, so when Antiochus Epiphanes came in, all right, this is obviously during the time of the Greeks' reign, basically, and this was Antiochus came in, obviously after Alexander, etc. And he came in and he was reigning over Jerusalem, and he was a wicked demon. Whereas Alexander, for example, Alexander the Creep, apostles talk about this, the history with him, that Israelites, prophets came to him, and basically he was told he was gonna rule, and he had some type of leniency towards the Israelites. He knew the God of Israel was real. But then when he passed, his generals was taken over, etc., the different lines, and they were complete demons. And this is one of them, Antiochus, man. Antiochus Epiphanes, he was a real demon, right? But it says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Yes, so there was wicked. When these Greeks came into power, there was the wicked of our people that were saying, look, let's go and make a deal with them so we can live better, basically. It's the same thing today. The little babies, the Jay-Z's, the P. Diddy's, those were the same spirits back then, making a deal with the Greeks back then. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay? You had the rebels factions, you had the rebellions against the Greeks, which was Judas Maccabees and the Maccabees brothers, and the different lines that were fighting against the Greeks. Then you had the sellouts, man. It's the same thing today. Okay? You got our people that don't want nothing to do with this system, particularly the elect. And then you have, those that basically want everything in this system. They want the full deal, man. Right? And they won't settle for anything less. So it says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Yeah. And what do they mean by that much sorrow? Basically, we've been at the bottom, we're treated like shit in society. We don't have the goodies of their world. It's the same thing. A lot of these wicked Israelites that take these deals in the music industry, in the sports industry, etc., and they sign over their souls, they don't want to go back to living in the ghetto or being poor or being, just a normal working Jake, etc. They don't want to go back to that. They want their high life. All right? They never want to turn back to being at the bottom again. It's like they don't want that, basically. So that's what they consider sorrow. So it says, so this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. Exactly. That's where you get the gym. The gym, the gymnos, the training with your, shorts so tight, your balls are hanging out. Women, you see them in the gyms with the, those pum-pum shorts, when they're, lifting weights or whatever exercises they're doing. It's always in that tight clothing, with their different body parts hanging out. Basically, you're practically naked. Where does that go back to? To this. To them Greek customs. Okay? And it's the same thing today, man. It's the same thing today. So, for example, this truth, teaches us to grow beards, etc. Let me read this here. This truth teaches us to like grow a beard, etc. Slakia, not Mark. I was actually here. Isaiah 30. This truth, for example, teaches us to grow beards, and grow a beard, which is anti-society because most you're taught in this system, the Greek custom is to shave your beard. I mean, now beards are they're kind of in so-called fashion because the rappers have them, but it's actually our biblical law. So we're basically we're anti, everything this system promotes. This system promotes shaving. The scriptures tell you to grow your beard. See? So you got a lot of our people that will, look down on, scoff on against beards, etc. But now, because the rappers have made it cool, you do get a lot of jakes growing these beards, etc. now, But that's traditionally our customs anyway. But the point, what I'm saying to you is that, basically our people will do the things to fit into this system. They told you that even during the time of the Greeks ruling over our people in Jerusalem, our people were sewing back foreskins onto themselves. Because our custom is to circumcise on the 8th day, but then our people would be sewing their foreskins back on themselves. Why? To keep customs of the Greeks. They'll wear the naked togas, etc. It's the same thing today. Our people will do the things to fit in amongst Esau, the so-called white man. All right, it's the same thing. So this is Isaiah 30 from the top. It says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel but not of me, and that cover with a covering but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin." Yeah. The rebellious of our people, the little babies, the P. Diddy's, etc. They don't take covenant of the Lord, man. They take covenant of the heathens, the so-called Jews. And they add sin unto themselves, man. It says, "That walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt." And that's the 2/3 of our people. They trust in this system. They trust in the shadow of Egypt. All right, which is this society. It says, "Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." Yeah, so the strength of Pharaoh is going to be the shame of our people. All right. Therefore shall it says themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Exactly. Yeah. So that's our people. They trust in the shadow of Egypt. They trust in this society, basically. Right? They trust in the so-called white man. They love and trust the so-called white man. He's their best buddy. Right? They don't pretty much they don't want the system to go down. Right? Because they trust in this place. They might have good jobs. They're involved in circles that get them lots of money, etc., etc. So no, they don't. That's what it is. The scriptures tell you basically. And Egypt is bondage, by the way. So they trust in Egypt. It was the same thing during the time of ancient Egypt when we were being delivered from there. There was that 40 years in the wilderness where a lot of the undesirables of our people, they had to be culled before we reached the promised land. Why? Because they were complaining. They wanted to go back to Egypt. They were talking about, they wanted the garlics and the leeks, the food of Egypt. Why did you bring us to this wilderness, Moses, etc.? So you had that going. It's the same thing today. A lot of our people, they don't want to see this world go down. The 2/3, they don't want to see the system go down. They're enjoying it. "Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." And that's what's going to happen. Is that your confusion and your shame is going to be seen in these last days in particular, because this kingdom is being exposed, man. And it's basically, as we know, the elect is going to be delivered, the 2/3 are going to be destroyed. But it's obvious now this world is being ruled by the wicked. So if you're down with it, you're basically wicked. It's obvious the lines are drawn with, the lines are drawn with what's going on. There's a wicked system, and if you love it, you got to go down with it, man. The lines are basically drawn. It's proven the so-called white man's the wicked, time and time again. And if you're down with their system, then you go down with it. It's just how it works. It's just how it works, bro. All right? That's just how it works, man. Okay? So, so with that, I'm going to say all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruchak, Qudash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to the hopeful elect Akim that teaching this word. Shalom, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruchak, Qudash. Shalom, shalom.